Welcome. My name's Chris, and I have a critically important lesson for you today. And it is on something that I think every musician should be doing all the time, and that is ear training. And this is something that I would never do without. I wouldn't want to play music without ear training and without a strong ear. I've been developing my ear for 28 years, and I'm still getting better at it. And there are people with much better ears than me. And I think we would all say the same thing, that it is everything. It helps us learn music. It helps us teach music. It helps us improvise music, jam, hear music in our head, and really understand music at this kind of deeper level than we often initially understand it, right? Where we think, oh, it's just, I have to learn a bunch of chords and notes, and it's a lot of rules, and it's not connected, and it's just kind of abstract, right? It's not tangible. We can make it tangible, and I'm here to show you some ways to do that. So I will show you my method overall for ear training, and then break down some exercises. The first thing to understand here is that when we listen to music, this really goes across the board. We're hearing not so much the chords and the notes, right? So when I play something, if I'm playing on the piano so you can really hear it, if I hear notes in a song on the top, maybe chords underneath, right? What we're hearing is the distance between stuff. And that is a critically important thing to understand, is just to kind of zoom out a little bit here and start to think relatively, like, okay, what's the main chord in this song? What key does this song sound like? These are things that you might kind of be totally blank on at first, right? When you're studying music, you don't understand what keys are, you barely know what chords to play or what notes to play or whatever. But this is something that you can kind of come into, right? Slowly. We start to get more familiar. We start to see, okay, these chords go together, and then you can kind of learn when the time is right what a key is. And I would argue that the main piece of musical content you should be training this with is a major scale. There's lots of music that's not in a major scale. There's music in minor scales or no key, no scale, or kind of an exotic scale. But for the most part, most music is close enough related to the major scale, and there's a lot of major scale in our ear. That is predominantly the scale and the kind of group of tonality that our culture likes and we've used and built up over about 1,000 years in Western music. So once we start to study that scale in this relative way and feed our brain valuable context that we need to kind of tag to these sounds, we will start to hear them, right? That's as simple as that. So once you do learn a major scale, and also a set of chords from that scale on any instrument, what you can start to do, I want to start the note level here. There's kind of two levels here, note and chord, right? And both come from the same scale, from the same key. When we have a scale, we take 7 notes of a scale, and we can make chords off them. We can do 1, 3, 5, right? We can build these thirds, right? And a lot of people know this stuff, but it's often, again, abstract and not applied, right? So if I just make myself, every time I interact with this scale, if I use it to warm up, if I use it in a song, if I hear it, or if you hear it and you figure it out, that's great. That's the whole point, right? But we want to tag this information when we know that's what's happening, right? So if I know I'm playing a C scale, I can say C's 1. I could just say 1, 2, 3, but why not sing it, right? Why not audiate? Why not imagine with your body the sound of 1 to try to connect to it? I'm not a singer, so pardon my voice, but you could just make yourself sing the pitch, and you can sing an octave lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And then we start to go, maybe even put a thing called a drone underneath you. These are on YouTube. I'll link one, these cello drones that I really dig. And you just make yourself say 1, with this drone underneath, right? This context. 2, 3. And there's something about this scale. It's not just this scale. Really, any collection of notes will work. Let's say you're into like rock or something. You like the pentatonic scale, or you like a minor scale. It's the same concept, right? It doesn't really matter what you pick. All the notes are going to really point to other notes. It just kind of provides so much order and really this information that's impossible to put into words, right? The sound of 5, right? I can't describe that. Or actually, I can for myself, but you have to describe it for you. So I want to talk about the next element here that can really make these stick. So besides saying the number and really feeding your brain this information and making yourself sing, you have to realize that your subjectivity here of the quality that you get, of the emotional quality especially, that you get from all these notes, is going to be unique to you. But I want to describe how they all hit me, and if I can kind of personify these notes and really give them a lot of this qualitative emotion, right, that really hits me a certain way, the better I'll be able to recognize them very quickly, right? So I want to go through here real quick and just talk about how these hit me. So this is 1, right? And when I play it against 1, it sounds like unity, unison, home, right? 2, to me, feels like a stepping stone, right? I'm kind of stepping off, going into the world, right? This could go back to 1, or it could go out. And 3, in a major key, is like the heart, right? That's the pretty, right? If I'm at the end of a feel-good movie, I might be hearing that in the score, right? Versus this with 1 on top, which is like so final, right? 2 on top, not quite home, right? 3's pretty. 4 wants to go to 3. You hear that? That suspension, right? 4, 3, 5, 6. Oh, I've skipped 5. 5 to me kind of sounds like power, right? It's like a powerful kind of like blank sound, like a wall or something. 6 to me sounds nice. It sounds kind of easy. It sounds like 2, kind of 1, 2, because 1 is like a release, 2 is going away, 5 is tied to 1 because they're in the same chord, right? We hear that we're stepping away. And then 7, here 7 wants to go somewhere, right? It's got some tension, and it wants to go up because it's a half step away from 1. Right, it's also kind of jazzy, maybe. So it's kind of like 4. 4 wants to go down. 4, put them together. Right, that's kind of like a classical thing, right? It's a 7 chord, does that. So these are going to hit you a certain way, and however way they do, it's fine. But you have to describe how these feel. There's this great story that one of my musical heroes, Jacob Collier, tells about how his mom, when he was a kid, used to ask him how certain sounds made him feel. Kind of like random sounds around the house. Like, how does this vacuum cleaner sound make you feel? And that's a really interesting question to ask yourself. How does this make me feel? What emotions come up when I hear this? How can I personify this note? So that way I hear, when I'm hearing this in a restaurant or something, or I'm out in the world and I hear something that sounds like this, and it goes like, can I hear 3, 2, or 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, right? 7, 1. And wherever you're at on this, you can get better, right? And you can start by just tagging this information. And then we have to tag the feeling we get. And another great thing to do, once you can do this sum and you can really get clarity at the note level, is then go to the chord level. And this is where you're going to be, I think many guitarists need to do this. I mean, anyone who plays rhythm, right? Anyone who plays like chords, and you want to get really, really good at hearing chords. It's a little bit more subtle, but we can kind of turn our ear underneath, listen for like the bass, right? The defining things that really help the chord progression. Even if I just have like 1 and 5 of a key, which kind of make it sound like home, right? Gives us this kind of home pad sound. If I just play now the bass notes differently, it sounds like different chords. Kind of a really cool trick if you want to get in some easy piano playing. Just put your right hand on 1 and 5, and your left hand can play the bass notes, right? So if I go through with chords as well, let me try this on guitar now. I'm going to go through with all the chords from a key, right? So this is where we take, all right, I'll do it on piano just so you can really hear it. So now I'm in the key of G. And every one of these chords is just built on the scale, right? So I have 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. I just do every other note of the scale. And these are these kind of triadic sounds that we have, right, that we use in music. These kind of big, these are like the big characters in the story, right? And then maybe the notes is like their dialogue or melody or something. They're what they say. You can kind of make the analogy work. So let me go through these real quick, and I want you to ask yourself, how does this make me feel? What comes up when I hear this sound? So when I play the 1, obviously we're going to be resolved, right? Might sound happy, might sound pretty. There's our 2. I love this sound, right? The 2 chord's great, and it has a certain kind of stepping away, just like the second note. The 3 chord. This chord has this really melancholy kind of bittersweet sound, right? Imagine a song that went like, right, the really inward kind of dark minor sound. There's a 4 chord. The 4 chord can go anywhere, right? I go 1, 4, 1. That's called the 4 to 1. It's called like amen kind of cadence, right? Amen. 5. 5 has this feeling of approaching something, right? It really needs to go somewhere. It often wants to go home. Like 5, 1. Right, so that's a big way that we use 5 is for this tension. Because it has 7 in there. Remember, 7 wants to go somewhere. If you have a 5-7 chord, you have both 7 and 4. They want to resolve. Right? So there's the 5 chord. And then we have the 6, which is like 1, only now it's minor. And what I mean by that is it's also a point of resolution. This is the way I kind of think about it. So a song could go here, and you could kind of end here, and you kind of feel like you got somewhere, but it's kind of like the dark side of 1, right? Because the same notes kind of work on the chord, right? I could go for someone's birthday that I don't enjoy, to go to the 6th chord. I'm kind of sad about their birthday. And then finally, the 7 chord is the one kind of ugly duckling here, right? Diminished. And honestly, this is the one that's not really used a ton. So in popular music, that is. And then finally back to 1, okay? So again, this idea is you need to go through and tag this information at the chord level. So every song you play, you have to ask yourself, what key is this in? What does my ear hear as the main character? If I hear a song like this, if I go... So, and when the song kind of plays more, you might even be kind of like curious, where's it at? And then you kind of feel, okay, there's some resolution, and it kind of starts to flush itself out. And this is something that 2 people can hear a song and think it's in 2 different keys. But the more you do this, there is a kind of a commonality here that you start to develop, and an intuition. It's got to be flexible. It's got to be okay to be wrong, right? But nonetheless, we have to ask these questions all the time. How does this make me feel? What chord is this in the song? Like if I'm just learning a song, figure out, okay, what key is this in? And then let's say I'm playing a song like in the key of G, and then on the chart it says C, and it goes to C minor. God, that's interesting. I might ask myself, what's the context for that C minor? I could call that a minor 4. That's really the sound of minor 4, right? Not of C minor. It's the sound of 1 going to 4, going to minor 4, going to 1, right? So it's these kinds of questions you have to really ask yourself. And if you do that a little every day, you will get good at it. I promise you. It is inevitable. So I recommend doing these exercises, and you're going to start to just hear it everywhere. You're going to be in your car, and you'll forget to buckle your seatbelt for some reason, and it'll be like your alarm or something, right? The sound. You'll just hear stuff all the time, and you can really turn this up to where you can just be playing like if you have something in your head, or if you hear a sound and I hear context like that. I don't know what note I hit. I knew it was a black key, but I hear that as a flat 3. It's kind of bluesy, right? Or if I do that again, see it's G chord, and I just hit a random key. I hear that as 2, right? It's 2. That's my good friend 2, right? 1, 2, 1. Right? Try it one more time. 1, right? There's a flat 3 again. There's a 1 again. There's a 1 again. Let's see. Oh, 7. Right? Jazzy. Right? 1. Ooh. Sharp 4. Right? Tritone. Oh, that one's weird. Is that flat 2? Yeah. So that's a half step away. And so this even works for notes not in the key. Right? Everything's got a context. Everything has a sound. Everything can be tagged. Everything has an emotion. If I get a drink or something somewhere, like a certain kind of coffee, and it's got some kind of funky, I don't know, aftertaste, I'm going to know it. It's going to be different than my normal thing, right? I need to be discerning of those things. So that's my advice to you. I hope this is helpful. Go slow, soak it up, tag information, and you'll find your ear just explode. That's my hopes for you. And I'll be back with more applied exercises on this, and I'll also demonstrate more of my process when I'm playing by ear and learning by ear in another video. So until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks.